brothers, and the occasional sister joining us tonight on the Broadsheet Club. It's late at night and it's another throwback story. I was watching these two flies on the window having sexual intercourse, thinking about the female's situation and thinking, I wonder if she has any say in what's going on here, or has the male fly just jumped on her and had his way? And does the male fly actually enjoy this? Or is he just like doing something that nature makes him do just naturally, and it's just part of the fly's existence? And other things about what was going on when suddenly the teacher was like, "Boy!" Looked up, "Yes, sir. Are you listening?" "Sorry, sir." "Listen, concentrate." The teacher's back to the blackboard. I would have been about 9 years of age, I suppose. Maybe a little younger. Writing on the board, rubbing stuff out. And I went back to looking at the window, and outside, the flies had gone now, and outside in the field there were some gannets that were landed on the grass, and you didn't normally see gannets land on the grass. You saw black-backed gulls, but you never saw gannets. And I was thinking to myself, what are two gannets doing on the grass? That's not right. Something's going on. And then the teacher's back in my face again. "Are you listening?" "No, sir, sorry." And he got right in my face and he said, "You never listen." And I said, "Sorry, sir." And he was right. I didn't listen. I struggled at school. I didn't start going to school full time until I was 8, and I left when I was 15. Pretty much no education. And the teacher said to me, "You've got to listen. You're not listening." And I said to him, "Sir, I'm sorry." I said, "I know what it's like. No one ever listens to me either." And he said, "Well, that's because you've got nothing to say." I said, "Sorry, I don't understand." "Nothing you've got's worth listening to," is what he said. And that just like, whoa, that was like, man, that was like, and it stuck with me for a long time. Nothing I've got's worth listening to. And so I believe that. And consequently, I kept my mouth shut, my trap shut. It didn't serve me well. I mean, there was times I probably had my mouth open. I shouldn't have had it open, but other times that I should have said what I was feeling and thinking, and I didn't. Anyway, many years passed and all sorts of things happened in my crazy life. I left home very young at 15, didn't get an education. There was no talk at all of me getting an education. It wasn't even an option. There was no talk about me going to university or having any prospects of the future other than doing those menial task jobs, which is exactly what I did. I worked at Sea Lords on the Hokie line. I worked on farms doing fencing and helping out in the wool shed. I did forestry, did all of the very first season of tobacco picking. I was probably the only white guy on my team. I think most of them were Fijians. I did kiwi fruit. Well, after the tobacco, there was apples and pears. In up north to Te Puke I went and I did the kiwi fruit. I travelled around doing what I could. I made boxes for apples. I made pallets for pears. I made trays for kiwi fruit. I did all that sort of stuff. And a whole lot of other low sort of paid jobs. Pretty much just getting work wherever I could. And I would knock on doors and do work with chainsaws for people, and you name it, I'd try and do it. I soon started to realise that there was something I did want to say, but I didn't know how to voice it. I knew I had a story as such. I just wanted to share it with people. Didn't have to be a large audience. I had something I wanted to say. So I started playing music. Well, I'd actually been playing music for a while. I'd been playing this thing since I was 11 or 12 years of age. But I hadn't really played guitar and performed as such. So I started to do this a little bit just on the street. And it became something of my way of just being heard. But for the best part, I wasn't very good. People didn't really listen that much. It wasn't like I was something amazing. I just loved playing music, and I also loved to write music. Years went by. I did different jobs. I was a sales rep for a company. I worked for a company driving a tanker. All these different jobs. And I found myself in Germany in 1991. Got my heart broken there. Started playing a bit of music. And by 1998, I was travelling around still, and by now I'd started to make a reasonably good, actually a very good living, not reasonably good, a very good living. By 1998 I had it smashed. The first few years were a bit slow, but I had it smashed. I was making good money, and better than I ever made before, and I still wasn't filling the gap. I still felt like no one was listening to what I was saying. I wanted to perform my own music and put across my own message. But what I was doing was I was playing covers. I was playing other people's songs, and that made me popular, but I still wasn't being me, and I really wanted to. And I was afraid to be me. I was afraid to do my own music and do my own stuff because I was fearful it wouldn't work. Because in the past I'd sent away to record companies, my songs I'd written into different people, and nothing had ever taken off. So it was like, nah, it ain't going to happen for me. But I kept on dreaming that dream. One morning I woke up in a grassy area, a big paddock, a big grassy area outside of a museum in the town of Neuwied. I've been playing at the Irish pub the night before. It belonged to a guy called Mick Dwyer. And I've been playing there, and I hadn't had a lot of sleep that night, and I've been pretty upset. I was getting over some stuff, working through some stuff like you do when you're on the road living alone, and I drunk too much, and I hadn't really gone to sleep. It was summertime, so it was pretty warm, and about 5 a.m. in the morning I found myself in this park and didn't go back to my room, and I lay down in the park and I fell asleep, and I woke up with some birds around me and people talking in the background, and I woke up, had my little bag with me and my guitar, and I woke up then this beautiful grassy paddock, and I looked up, and right in front of me was this amazing building. It's got a name, Mon something, I forget it, forget. But anyway, what it was is a massive building with lots of dorms are the wee buildings that come out, and probably hundreds of years old, and it's a museum. Now, I didn't go into museums much because museums to me in other countries are about their history, and I think of a museum, some people love to go into those museums in other countries, but to me it almost feels like looking at somebody else's photo album. It's not that interesting. And let's face it, nobody's photo album is that interesting really, other than the people that have the photos in them. I mean, when you die, what do you think happens to your photo album? It just gets thrown out. Even your children aren't likely to keep most of your photos. They might pick the old one out, but it goes in the rubbish, all your memories, because they're already important to you. And I see museums a little bit the same. In my country, New Zealand, it's different. I like to look at the Māori artefacts and all the things in there that are of importance to my country, but in Germany, mildly interesting. Some people love that stuff, just not my bag. So I sat back and I looked at this building, but I thought the building is amazing. And I took out my little sketch pad and I drew this little museum, a big museum, not a little one, but I made a little picture of it, which I'm posting up now for you guys because I still have it in my collection of old stuff. There I did it with my little black pen on my little white pad. Not very big at all, but just a little picture to remind myself of a place. After I'd finished doing the picture, I sat up and looked around. There was no one around, and I was thinking to myself about this, about the museum and all the things inside it, and how nothing mattered much to me. And I thought of all the people that contributed to what was inside this museum that I never had seen. And I thought, and I'm not even concerned about going and looking in there. And then I got back to thinking about what my teacher said when I was a kid at school. I've got nothing to say worth listening to. That's why I should basically keep my trap shut. And I thought, those people that contributed to what's inside that museum, they spoke their truth, and they've filled it up with all sorts of things. Without going in there, I knew there'd be all sorts of amazing things created by all these people that are no longer here. And one day, I'm no longer going to be here too. And if I've got something I really want to say, I better bloody well start now, or forever hold my peace. And so what I did was, from that day onwards, I started introducing my own songs everywhere I went, regardless of whether people actually wanted to hear them or not. I had a feeling that I wanted to say them, and my own music didn't go that great, but I satisfied a part in myself. When I got back to New Zealand many years later, I gave up doing that commercial music to make money, and I started singing my own songs. And those songs were songs about things that I liked, chainsaws and Land Cruisers. I got 3 songs I've written about Land Cruisers. Pull out of my local boozer in me Toyota Land Cruiser. She's a bloody doozer, gets me where I need to go. Well, she may be well outdated, naturally aspirated, but she never leaves me frustrated. Man, she sure can tow. Most me hunting mates, they drive new utes, but my old truck is a bloody beaut. When bits fall off, I just don't care. That old truck takes me everywhere. I met a girl from Mottawaker. She was a real heartbreaker. Took her on a romantic date, eating fish and chips by the Glen. But she said my truck was smelly, and the high right upset her belly. Needless to say, I won't be taking her out again. And the song goes on and on and on and on. Now that song, that gets streamed in Australia something like 40,000 times every month alone, just in Aussie, on Spotify. And all of my songs under Clay Tall Stories, one word on Spotify. When I set it up, I never knew that I was going to be big. I just did it and made the name a bit different because my other trade name is Clay Tall Stories, but it's Clay Tall Stories on that Spotify. And you know, it made enough money, that one song, to keep the truck and fuel every month, although I actually ended up putting that money from that song into a special account, and with it I built a barn, and I had to add some money to it, but it made a lot of money. It had well over 1 million streams, and it's just one of the many songs. And suddenly I thought about the realization, or I had the realization, and I thought about once I had the realization that actually I do have a voice, and people do listen, and they're my people. They're people that relate to me. And if you're listening to me right now, then you're my people. You're the people that actually do listen. And I don't have any education. I didn't have a chance of any education, not from the family I came from. I came from poverty and parents that didn't give a fuck really about what I did. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all, because I carved my own way, doing it on my own terms. And so if you're in a situation like me where you've struggled and you've come from a bit of a rough background, there is a way forward, and the only way forward is your own way forward. It's you doing what you believe, and stuff what your teacher at school thinks or anybody else thinks. You can make it. You have a voice, and people do want to hear what you've got to say. They really do. But they only want to hear your truth. They don't want to hear you regurgitating someone else's truth. They want to hear who you really are, and what is it you love. And if it's something as silly as loving Toyota Land Cruisers, or if you collect something like stamps, or just whatever it is, there'll be someone out there that shares that same passion. I hope you enjoyed this random bro chick video. I love playing the harmonica in the evening time. It's just a nice way to hang out by the fire, chill out, and just reflect on the end of the day and be grateful. I've lived alone for a long time, and it's nice. It's really nice to live alone. I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's good to be in your own space and feel good about you alone. There's an art to it, and I don't know if I'll ever live with somebody. I've got like my own privacy and my own space. Maybe I'll become an old fuddy-duddy. I've got so many friends and people that come around the day, but I really enjoy these moments at night, just chilling, the peace, the quiet. And I make up random songs just like that, just little random tunes. That's not even a song, just something comes out. And it's lovely to just sit back by the fire and make music. And sometimes you don't need people to even listen. Sometimes, more often than not, I don't need anybody to listen to what I've got to say or play anymore. It's just nice to do it and experience it. Making music's fun. Anyway, brothers and the occasional sister, that's me. Go steady. If you know a brother who's struggling with something, if you know a brother who's struggling to be heard, share this video. It might help him find his voice and speak his truth. Go steady. I'll see you in the next Bro Check Club video. See you later.